Good morning. What's going on? It's your girl, Neo Soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya, back for another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's Monday, back to school. The kiddies are back to school. They are in virtual school today. A lot of our college students are actually on campuses, and we're gonna talk about a little bit of that today. But right now, I just want to know how y'all doing. So let me see those thumbs up, those hearts, those happy faces. Let me know you guys are good. You guys are awake, ready to get your day started. I know y'all can do it because I gotta tell y'all something. Hold on. Let me get my mother on here. Let me see what she doing. Let me see what she be talking about. How you? I need you to give me some of that energy. So look, y'all. Let me tell you. When I get,
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I need some.
How
I need
is
some of your
everybody?
energy.
How is everybody? I hope you have your tea or your coffee or your juice or your energy drink or your health drink smoothie. It's going to be a beautiful day
I have
because it's
a
a
full
beautiful day in my
blown
neighborhood.
breakfast over here.
Yes,
You understand?
yes, yes.
Like today, I had to go with the full blown breakfast. You understand what I'm saying? Let me tell y'all
She
what y'all
actually
girl.
ate today. I
Let me
can't
tell you
believe.
what your girl. I ain't finished eating yet, y'all. I'm still eating. But let me tell you what your girl did. Let me tell you what I slipped and did, y'all. I went back to my college days because I was all in wrapped up into this whole back to school. You know, I lost my mind. Went back to my college days and pulled an all nighter for my babies. I was up all night long. Like I have, when I say I have gotten no sleep whatsoever, like none. I had to, like, I almost forgot that I had to go wash up. I was like, oh my god, I cannot go.
Ew.
Yeah,
Ew.
really, really, I'm serious because I've been sitting in my office chair since yesterday evening at like approximately 9:30, and then I had to get up. Well, I was hanging some things. I transformed a portion of my living room into virtual learning center so that my children could wake up like it was Christmas and be excited about their virtual learning experience. And yeah, so I was excited. I know I'm going to probably crash real hard sometime today, but I skipped my drink that I usually drink because I needed some food in my system because I didn't eat. A sister didn't eat last night. So and I've been up all night, so I needed some food. So I did. I made the. I told them that well, every first day of school, I always cook breakfast. I always take off work and accompany all my children to their classes or their school rather. Take pictures and stuff like that. That's something that's a tradition that we always do every year. So we're like all over the place, all over the county because they all go to different schools. So I'm so glad to say that they're going to school virtually and I don't have to drive all over the world. But I did take off so that, praise the Lord, so that I could make sure that they were where they needed to be mentally, emotionally, physically. And so that's actually what I want to talk about. First, I want to say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. That was my homie. That was my dude. He he went out like a soldier. That's what it's about. I tell my children all the time, um, you know, when I do things like pulling an all nighter, I do things like that because I don't ever want them to feel like they can't. Um, when they get to their wits end, which isn't even that far from falling off the edge, I want them to understand that mommy did so that you could. So that's why I sacrifice. That's why I sacrifice my time, my sleep, my talent, all of that because I want to teach my children that they can do anything. They can do anything that they put their mind to, and they can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Because that is definitely who is giving me strength right now.
And that's an excellent segue for where I am at this point. I feel the need to speak to God, to speak life into our children,
Yes, I like.
speaking everything that they dream of that is of substance to God, everything that would glorify God and lift him higher. I pray this in the name of Jesus. that they would be safe, that they would be healthy, that they would be obedient to their teachers, whether it's home or teacher in the schools. In fact, as a matter of fact, God, make them obedient to both so that they can get the most out of this school year. I pray this prayer in the name of Jesus. As a matter of fact, God, I claim it in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
And with that, I just one more thing, and then I'll yield it back over to
Oh,
you.
now you can keep talking.
My
Just talk.
confidence card, my confidence card. I'm just going to read it. I'm not even going to expound on it. My fears cannot go where I'm headed. Did you hear that?
Hey,
My fears cannot go where I'm headed. They have no authority over my life. Mm,
right.
yes, I'm looking forward to a great, fantastic year.
So, as we talk about this school year, I actually want to quote something that Chadwick Boseman said, which was the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose.
Mm,
And that's something that I want to lead with my children and going into this new school year, because there are a lot of different challenges. All of my children are starting a new something, and but more intimately and importantly and fragile, um, or most fragile, is my oldest daughter, because she is starting something that she's never embarked upon before, which is
I'm
going into
so
high
excited.
school.
I'm so excited for that.
But not only is she going into high school, she's actually going into college. So she'll be doing like a dual citizenship. She'll be doing college and high school at the same daggone time. And so, she was a little uneasy. I still have not, the hubby and I have not released the reins to have our children go anywhere. I see all of my good girlfriends and my good homies and kings taking your babies out and let them hang out at the park and at the beach. And I'm praying that
Not ready.
God continues to cover you. We have not done that yet. I don't make any excuses about it. But I thank God for the opportunity to be able to have means for them to enjoy themselves and experience the great outdoors. And so we've not gone to any beaches this summer. And so, we bought a water slide for them, a big old water slide so they can get in the water. And so I just thank God for that. And so yesterday, this weekend, they wanted to kind of like, culminate like, the summer, because they were started and they know how we feel about them, being into their schoolwork and being focused. And so, they got to play in the water and bask in the sunshine. And I got to take pictures of those beautiful clouds that are in the sky.
Oh, they were so
Probably to
beautiful
the fact that we
when you, yeah,
probably to the fact that we were
when
quarantined.
you
Yeah.
FaceTime me, the
Yes,
clouds were
I took
just
pictures.
so
They were
beautiful.
awesome. That's what happens when y'all stay inside. Stay inside some more so we can get some good pictures. Um, but when I think about, like, as I was up, um, creating for my children and making sure that when they walked into their living room space to start their morning, that they felt motivated, that they felt loved, and they felt encouraged and pushed to do their best. I even wrote my prayer out for them, so that they could see it and read it and actually, reflect upon it throughout the day if they needed to. And so, as I thought about that, I'm thinking about all the other parents who are embarking upon this whole virtual learning with their children. And for some, it's a breeze. And for some, it's just crazy. You want out. Um, but I just want to give encouragement. I want to give some encouragement because um, you can make it. It's doable. People have been doing it for years. There's so many people who have been homeschooled. They've been doing it for years. And so I understand that some people are essential workers and they have to leave out. It's all about planning, it's all about sitting down and putting your minds together. If you have a partner, and just having meetings of the minds, and finding out what the schedule is for everybody, and then compiling a schedule. Like, I'm a writer, period. And so this is like one of the schedules. I don't know if you can see. That's one of the schedules I wrote out for one of my children. But what I do is I write them all out. I get all their schedules from when they go to their little virtual back to school, whatever. And then I write all their schedules out, and then I compile one big schedule so that we can stay on point. Because I cannot operate in chaos. Like, it has to be structured for me, or I lose it. And so, in thinking about that, I just want to encourage some people today, in regards to their children going back to school. There are definitely people, and resources that you can reach out to help keep you on track, so that you can keep your little ones on track. Having a schedule is necessary. Being able to insert your schedule, or merge your schedule rather with theirs, is important, so that you don't burn yourself out. And you can get it done. It can happen. You can get it done. And just praying and asking God for the strength. Like, I'm joking, but I don't feel no ways tired. Come too far from where I started from. Like, I literally don't feel tired, but I've been up almost 24 hours, and I don't feel tired because of the cause. And the whole time, I'm just talking to God. That's my time, and He's been trying to get my attention anyway, for the last couple of weeks at 3, 4 in the morning. So I just been talking to Him, and then before I knew it, I was finished everything. And so structure is key, and schedules are necessary. Format, foundation is necessary. Don't wing it. Don't wait for your teachers to sort of get themselves together. Because I ran into a situation where one of my children, I had to go up to their school last week because they weren't ready. And the problem with them not being ready is that I was ready, and I needed them to be ready so that so that Lajane could be ready. And so you had to go up there and light the fire up under them, and ask if they needed my assistance in kind of getting the ball moving. You've had all summer. So, just staying on point with them. Now everything is email. So, as you're working, shoot a quick email. I don't know how fast you type. Shoot a quick email. Stay on point with your teacher. Stay in communication with them, making sure that the work that your children are getting, that they're turning them back in. Staying on top of that. Having study time for your children, like in the schedules that I create for all of my children, and they're all literally on different schedules. The only time we come together is for dinner and Bible study, and breakfast. But they have time for study time, which is that homework time. And if you don't have any homework, you're studying. And they also have time to debrief and just kind of get some free time to just kind of like woosah. And so that stuff is important, because it's stressful. It's different. It's new for especially the baby sitting in front of the computer. I was looking at my next to the youngest daughter's schedule, and literally she's in front of the computer most of the time. And so I'm gonna try that out this week and see how that works. But they work for me. So if it doesn't work, then I'll be inputting my say into it, based on some of the things that her former teacher did last year, to kind of give her some air between her backside and the chair, because
And
it's
and that's something. Not meaning to interrupt you,
not
but
it.
sorry, but not sorry. Um, that's something we have to look out for, even though I know it's not Friday, it's Mondays. This is leftover from Friday. No, seriously, that's something we have to seriously take closer look at, because of the scheduling that the schools are having, and their intent to be involved with their students, most of which will obviously be on technology. we have to, as parents, intervene there and make certain that there are breaks for many reasons, health reasons and other reasons, of the child sitting glaring at a computer screen for that number of hours is not healthy. So we, as a parent, as La has pointed out, this is the part where parents have to intervene. Now, this week we're talking about safeguarding our policy, and I have a few things when we get to that point to share with you as far as safeguarding policy. You know, but what La had mentioned, this week make it a time where you are observing your children's schedules, making certain that you're intervening because this is a co-op. This time around, the schools, it's a co-op. Whether you're an essential employee and you have to work or not, you are still your child's best advocate, and you are responsible for everything that goes in and comes out of that child at this point. So just something to keep in mind, about that computer screen.
And speaking of computer screen and safeguarding, because that's what we're talking about, this right here looks like a perfectly nice pair of glasses. They're awesome. They're amazing.
Where are
They
mine?
look
Yeah.
good on me. And so what these are, I actually purchased some for every
Oh,
last one
pretty.
of the members of my household, even down to my almost 2 year old. And so what they are they protect your eyes from the blue light that comes from the computer. So they are not medicined glasses. However, they are good for those times where your students or your children have to sit in front of the computer for long periods of time. That blue light is what causes you to get a headache. I know back in the day we used to have the screen. Being an accountant and working in the banking world, we sat in front of the computer all day long, literally. And so, working with money now, like that's what I do, sit in front of the computer screen most of my time, most of my day. And so that causes you to get a headache. You wonder how you get, headaches and stuff, and your head be hurting and you get tired and groggy. That's one of the reasons why is because of the blue light or the blue rays that comes from the computer that affects your retinal. And so these glasses are pretty cool, and you can
Yes, they
find them
are. She
on
even bought
Amazon.
some for her 70-year-old
Did
mom.
I
You
did
see? Mm.
you see I'm always
Although,
looking
if you
out for
see me changing up during the show, it's because, I'm going from one pair to another. One pair sees better than the other. So,
and so
just
while we're on that, they do have glasses where they have the magnifying lens in them, so you can get them so that they can
like
magnify what
reading.
you see, like reading glasses.
Okay.
Um,
And do they have the color coordinated? Because I like to have color
so
coordination.
I have all colors here. Like I have aqua
Oh,
blue. I didn't want
fantastic.
to
I'll have
tell
to pay
her
you a
because
visit.
she was trying to take all my stuff. But I gotta get me a red pair.
Oh,
But
yes, we must
I
have
do have
red.
these,
Let me know when you
match
get
my
those so I can
that
pay a
match my
visit.
hair and all
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
But you want to look into this. They're called what is it? Blu-ray
Oh, not
lenses.
ultraviolet. Ultraviolet would be for the sun to
Right. This
protect
is
your eyes
for
from the sun.
blue
But
light lenses.
yeah.
If you look that up, if you Google that, those of you who have Amazon Prime, um,
Hmm.
look it up. It doesn't cost that much. I think I got like 5 pair for like 25. The most I got my husband some designer ones for Father's Day, so his cost a little more by itself. But you could get them in bulk for like $25. You get like 5 or 6 pair, different colors and everything. But they're really good. So that's one thing you could do to safeguard your children as they are going through or working through this virtual learning season of
Maybe
their educational career.
absolutely. And maybe we need to at this is a good time to ask our parents, ask those of us in our audience, do you know what is a child safeguarding policy? What do we mean when we say a safeguarding policy? Now, La mentioned safeguarding as it refers to protecting your child's eyes. So that same line of thinking in protecting uh, our children's eyes, we have to think about protecting our children. Period.
Yeah.
Even though they're home, I know, like with school, that they're going to have some outdoor time, our younger ones. And the older ones, as I said, we have to protect them from cyberbullying, even though they are allegedly with a class. There are times I'm certain where the teachers are trying as best as possible to model after when they were in the classroom, the physical classroom. So there are going to be times when the teachers may will step away from the computer, and children are so smart, not slick, because they think they're slick, but they're not slick. You can't out slick the slicker, can you, lie? You can't out everything. And I used to tell my grandson this: there is nothing you can do that hasn't been tried by either Grammy or your mom or your dad, and
Me?
certainly your uncle. Yes, even their mom. Right? Exactly. So let me tell you, Latif, my son, was sharing this week, and he was speaking with one of his colleagues from North Carolina. They've already started school, and they are, you know, uh, doing the virtual learning. And she was saying how people don't realize the stress that teachers are under at this point in time, even though they're not in the physical classroom. Monitoring a virtual classroom can be just as stressful. He was saying that this teacher was saying, this person who is a teacher was saying, the kids, some of the kids, what they do is they freeze the screen like it's buffering.
Oh, so no, there's this thing that they all do now. When there's it's like a joke, a practical joke on the teacher.
Everything's a
So
joke for
all
kids.
of them, where they type in their name, they'll type in connecting and then turn their camera off, so it looks like the whole class is having technical issue. Um, or like they all were doing some dance together. It's like a flash mob dance, and
Well, in this case,
the,
this teacher was saying that
the
these
cashiers
particular
won't be involved.
students down south, this is down south, of all places, down south, they're usually the goodies. But she was saying that this student, particularly, would do that, would, put it like it was buffering, and like he was still, but in checking, because he had a parent who practiced safeguarding, recognize that what the kid was doing. So we've got to be on the money. Even the bestest, that's not a word, the bestest of kids are going to try little
Yeah,
things,
I mean, kids are sitting in front of a computer all day, and so come on,
all
like
day.
for
And
those of
and
you
and
who
I
are
don't
at work
look,
who sit in front of a computer, you guys know that every once in a while your fingers slip over to the little shopping site, and then you be looking at stuff on Amazon
exactly,
when
and
you're
kids are no
supposed to
different.
be
They're
doing
more,
your
in
reports.
fact, more tuned in. Keep in mind, all they've had the entire summer and some
Yeah,
for doing these different things on the computer, all their little groups that they, chatted in and so forth. So we've got to be mindful of that.
yeah,
Let's get back on the stick and get them regimented to the schedule of school, seriousness of schooling. You know, there are no excuses. As Love pointed out early on when we first came on, there should be no excuses for children not, being serious about this walk of life. This is something that we can talk about as parents in our family groups. Talk to our children about how important it is to stay focused, that they are responsible just as much as the teacher is, as the educator is, to do what they have to do. And this is a good time. I've always implored my students to be self starters, to be self, in control. And in fact, I would ask them to treat their little desk as a cubicle, as an office, as a good government office cubicle, and you're on a job,
mhm,
and the pay is obtaining those dreams that you've always had, you know.
yeah.
And you know what? This
Penthouses,
weekend
those
we were
again.
all saddened by the death of Chadwick. And you know what? As we've said with the pandemic, out of bad things, sometimes, many times, come good things. And when I think about this young man making all of these movies, even while sick,
Yeah. In
and
between
anyone
going
who has
to
been
dialysis
sick,
and
and least of all, cancer, you can imagine that it's not an easy task.
right.
But that's what you call fortitude. That's what you call sticking to it. And the fact that in a short period of time, how God can bless you with those dreams if faith without works is what? It's dead. So the fact that he was able to do so much in such a little time
Hmm.
is amazing. It's amazing. And I think he went out he went out with a like a king. He really did.
He
He
really
went
did.
out
He
like a
really
king.
did.
So
It's hard
that
to it's
teach
hard to
this is a good
mourn, like we're like at a it was a blow for the black
mm,
community. But
mhm.
it's really hard to mourn a person of that stature because he set out to do what he was purposed to do and he did it. You
Absolutely. Perfect example.
So
Perfect example.
he is absolutely an example of
Mm,
what they say, living your best life.
mm, mm.
That's what it's about,
Yeah,
and I apply you. It speaks so many volumes because those who were closest to him, they held on to what was serious but wasn't the focal point
right.
of his being. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't
Exactly.
out on front street, and you
That's
know what I'm saying.
another
But
lesson
they
in
they
itself
held
too,
on to
La.
that. Yeah, you
You
know.
know, when you think about it, how many of us have friends and relations like that who can know a part of our personal and
Hmm.
hold on to it with the seriousness that I have, that you have.
Hmm.
The other thing too, I want to mention, and I don't want to forget this, particularly with our young ones and even some of the older ones, parents, make some time to sit down with our kids and talk to them about death, about the fact that, as we've said throughout our shows, that we're not here for us. We're here for an express purpose. When we were yet in our mother's womb, God had a purpose for us.
Yeah,
That young man had a purpose. And we had, because a lot of kids, and I had one of my mentees from North Carolina, another from the South, because many of them has started back before we did and up here. And she was saying, don't negate the fact that there are a lot of little ones who are mourning the fact that this thing happened.
yeah.
So take that time, please. We've talked about mental health issues last week and week before. Take the time, sit down, make it a family time. You don't have to wait for Bible study,
Well, things
but
we
you
used to
you
take
can
for
also
granted,
include it in
like
Bible
don't take
study.
them for granted anymore. Have those conversations. We
Yes,
take these things
yes.
for granted,
From
thinking that, oh, they'll be okay, or
right.
they
Please,
understand, and a lot
please
of
don't.
times they don't
Because these
understand.
babies are suffering. Many of them. I saw several videos this weekend where the little kids were actually, and I know my big Latif when he was little, the little action figures
Big
and
Latif.
Star Wars and all of them. I'm telling you, those to them they're superheroes. Black Panther was their superhero. Take the time to explain to them superhero, and how superheroes even have a lifespan.
Yeah,
So, and don't take for granted, oh, they're going to be okay.
yeah, they're
Because
not
this
even.
really, many of them will hold this inside and they're grieving. So we've got to talk with them. Life is a gift. Life is a gift. And in the twinkling of an eye, you could be here and gone. But, you have to really explain it to them so that it's not uh, scary for them.
Yeah,
Make it keep it real, but spiritual in terms of who creates life. We talk throughout this show about who, the creator of life. I don't care what you call him. You may call him Buddha, you may call him whomever, but whoever created this world and you and your family, has the same power to take you back to himself. So please, please explain that and sit down and have those talks with your children. Yeah.
Absolutely. Excuse me, guys.
Mm.
Not ghetto. I have not slept, and so I need to eat because I haven't eaten.
Well, let me, while she's nibbling.
But I do want to say something. Hold on, wait. Because we were talking about safeguarding. And so I wanted to transition into what's most important to me. Well, we were sort of kind of touching on it with our children that are actually doing virtual learning. But there are some of our students and some of our children who have gone back to college. And so,
Hmm.
aside from just the thought of whether they're going to be safe with this whole pandemic still going around. Understanding that now the campuses aren't looking like they usually look. They're not packed out like they usually are, which is breeding ground and camp space for predators, sexual predators. And so, the sex trafficking and the child trafficking or human trafficking has not gone away. That's still happening. And so, a part of safeguarding our children is having those conversations about paying attention to detail, knowing where you are and knowing your surroundings and who, is in your company.
Not only paying attention to the safeguards, but have a safeguarding policy.
Yeah.
Whether your kids are young or older, whether they're in public school, grade school, or in college, particularly when you're sending them away from home. Don't assume. Okay, I know many of us say, "Oh, they're grown, they're 18, they're out the house, and da 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 da." But these are still our children. These
Yeah.
are our babies. I don't care how old they get. Have a child safeguarding policy.
Hmm.
You know, and I mean a tangible one, such as, and I asked this question at the beginning. What is your meaning of safeguarding policy? What do you what to do if you have some safeguarding concerns about your children or your child? As La said, when they go away to college, you know what I'm saying? They're away from you. They're, yes, they're not at the point where, like in grade school, there was a administrative admin office, a nurse's office that kept the records and so forth and so on. And I had some suggestions that we're going to be covering during the course of the week and I suggest and I seriously encourage us to make a safeguarding policy, which, in other words, what are some things that you would put in that safeguarding policy? Now, keep in mind again, because your kids are not at the physical school building yet, um, but they are having like an outdoor time and so forth. And in the twinkling of an eye, and we should know that by
Yeah.
now, it doesn't take a hot second for someone to be snatched. I don't care how big, how small they are,
Somebody just
they
posted
can be
something where
snatched.
they were in a one of those outside malls, I guess,
Yes.
and the guy was trying to snatch a little girl.
Hmm. Hmm. And
What's
just
happening?
so quick, they're thinking, no, I take that back. They have already thought out their plan. By the time you figure out, and look around, you're looking at a beautiful dress or pair of shoes or whatever, and just that quick, they could be gone, snatched, So, like, predators have already thought it out. They have a plan. My question, what is your plan? Have a set policy. No, have a list, and in fact, somewhere, and I'll later, as we progress through the week, we'll maybe even develop a mini plan or a sample plan, such things as your child's hair color, maybe even samples of the hair color, the dental records. You keep in mind when they were in the physical school, the nurse could probably help out with that, but now the burden of proof is in your hands as the parents, right? So descriptions of any distinguishing marks, birthmarks, or anything like that. Take a picture. La mentioned it, and every year that I can remember, La took or has taken pictures of that first day of school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And make it a full shot where you have their face, a good picture of their face, maybe even a side profile or what have you. You know, it may seem a little much, but guess what? When it comes to protecting your child, you can't, there's no such thing as too
And
much,
that's
you know.
something that our culture and our community, we're in the ballpark, but we take for granted the reason why we should do it, because we
Exactly.
love taking pictures. We
Exactly.
selfieing it up on the way to the bus stop, walking our kids.
Hmm.
But we need to become more strategic about literally taking a picture of them.
Right. And even fingerprints.
Yeah.
Fingerprints. You can do your own fingerprint.
They have
I
kits
did this
that you
lesson
can
with my kids.
actually, they give the kits out for free. They'll come
Yeah,
and drop
you know,
it off.
fingerprints. Be sure to do that. That's one thing that will not change is fingerprints, unless somebody burns them off, you know, gruesome. But fingerprints, dental records, have a folder, a health folder, a safeguarding policy where, as I said this week, I'm hoping that I know we will give some ideas for samples of safeguarding policies.
Hmm.
Don't hesitate to do that. Tomorrow is not promised. We have to be our children's keeper, and we are their advocate. We are their first advocate. So, you know, these things, I'm interested to find out what are some major safeguarding issues that you guys may have, that you have. What are some safeguarding issues that you can think of right off? Anyone? Come on, type it in. Type it in the box.
I know when it's not mine, but we there was just the other day, um, there was a young lady that it basically went viral, in regards to her 2 year old. And her 2 year old was found. They finally identified the body, and identified it
Oh,
as her daughter, floating in the river. And her 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 story was that she let her daughter go out to the neighborhood playground, which was like right below her window in the apartment complex. And she walked away from the window for a moment and came back, and her daughter was gone.
mm,
One, my 2 year old is smart, and she is many old people, but all those little old people that is bottled up inside of her, they're gonna be right up in the house. There is absolutely no way that I am letting my 2 year old go outside by herself. We have to stop taking for granted that because nothing has happened yet, that something is not waiting around the dark corners of your neighborhood to happen. Child Human trafficking is a thing. It has not gone away even in the pandemic. As a matter of fact, it's probably even more prevalent now because there's less people in certain places, and so it's easier to snatch someone and not be too many people around to witness. And so those are some of the things that we have to talk about with our children. I know a lot of the children are a lot of the younger children are doing virtual learning, but our college children, those who are going off for their first year, talk about some of the things. They're not, some of them aren't even in the same state that you're in. So having those conversations and sitting down and having a plan, hey, when
yes,
at a certain time you don't go anywhere without a buddy, you know what I'm saying? Or when you go places, you don't drink from anybody, and you don't
that's
anybody
key.
hand you something, you don't. Those are things that you have to talk about,
That's
and you
key.
can't take for
That is
granted
key.
that, oh, they don't drink and they're not. Hey, it's college, and you never know what your child has been waiting to do, once they come from under your roof. And so you have to be straightforward and have those tough conversations and say, hey, I know that it's a possibility you're going to go to one of these college parties. And I wasn't born yesterday. And I've been around a little bit, and I know what they do. And so one of the things that you can do to make sure that you're not a victim is you don't accept drinks from anyone. Not even your friends at that point. If you don't see a fresh drink there and you know exactly what it is and you make it yourself, then you don't drink at all. Stick with water.
And people do things just to be doing them. I had two colleagues years ago, and the irony is each one of them had a brother who died as a result of drink poisoning or someone putting
Alcohol
something in
poisoning.
their drink. This stuff is real. It has not gone anywhere. People are still doing dumb stuff. So talk to them about that. Once upon a time, the other thing too, it used to be officer friendly, and now we've talked about that. There's still some for every good cop. There's a bad cop, So we've got to make, particularly these students who are going away to college, like you say, away from home. Our boys, I would say boys, but both boys and young ladies,
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to deal with being stopped if they
Yes,
are drivers.
yes, yes.
Teach them. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to win the battle. What was it that Floyd was kept saying? I don't want to win. I don't want to win. He was trying his best to let these cops know, I'm not trying to win over you.
And being
Teach
aware
them,
who's
please.
around you. You know, one of the things that I
Exactly.
experienced when I was in college was I had a roommate that um, was very expressive. And when we would go places, she was very expressive when people would say things to her. And it made me feel uncomfortable because it always put things in a very dark moment, you know, when she would express herself. When we would walk past guys or whatever and they would say something. And so, um, hindsight now, you know, now growing up with daughters, that's something that I talk about now. Always be aware of the company that you keep, you know, because you may not be the person. I remember being at Maryland University, and it is the most embarrassing moment of my life. But I remember being at Maryland University, and we were a part of Midnight Madness. So, you know, we used to go to that every year. And so we were going to Midnight Madness, and it was raining that particular day or evening, rather. And so we're walking, and it's a puddle. And so I guess this person was running late, and so they ran past us and splashed all this water, and the water splashed all over her, right? And so she went off. And the person stopped, and you know, they had words. Well, he exchanged words with me. He assumed that it was me. And at that, I was a little high headed, but at that point, you know, I'm trying to explain, like, no, you got the wrong person. Like, we don't all sound alike and look alike. Like, that wasn't me. You didn't, like, I don't even have water on me. And so, you know, he went off or whatever. And so I kind of went off, only to get in there, get in my ticket, and go down. And we had seats that were lower, closer to the floor. And the person that we were talking to proceeded to run down, and he ran on the floor. And I found out later it was the coach for Maryland University's basketball team. And it was so embarrassing because to this
That's why I was
day,
laughing, you guys.
to this day, I'm like, oh my
You
gosh, I
never
bombed out the
know.
coach. Like, oh my gosh, he gonna ban me from the game.
The
But it
infamous
taught me
basketball coach.
it taught me a huge lesson because we have to be aware of the company that we keep. A lot of times it may not be you that is getting into a undesirous situation, but just the company that you keep.
That's
They
right.
may say something out their mouth that will get you in hot water. They may do something that you're not, you know, thinking that this should be done, and before you know it, you're in a situation. And so, you know, as our children are going off to college, have conversations about that. You're meeting people from all walks of life, and
All walks
yes,
of
we want you to fellowship with people and meet different people. That's how, you know, people get to travel, and you know, because they make lifelong friends. However, be smart and strategic, and very exact about, you know, who you let in your circle. And from the get-go, let it be known the respect that you demand, so as to safeguard yourself from things that would happen that would be out of your control because someone else decides that they want to create a certain environment for you both. And so those are the
Absolutely.
conversations that you need to have with our bigger babies, that are going into college.
Yeah, and teach your children to stand for something. We always say if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And when you mentioned carefully selecting those people that you associate with, always associate. I always told my kids, always align yourself with someone positive, with positive people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this sort of goes in with the danger of going places alone on many campuses. Now I have a friend who is in working in housekeeping on a I want to say GW or Georgetown, one of those two universities. Now things are much different because the students are all having single rooms. I don't know how they're doing it with all those
Yeah.
larger universities, but they are housing them in single rooms, and the housekeeping has to literally, physically having to go in and empty trash, get clean, with gloves and masks and everything, disinfect the rooms. And it's like I think she said like they have an 800 kids, and then it's like a rotational thing where 800 kids come on campus and then
Then they
a
switch.
break and then so forth and so on. But so there's so many different ways that they're dealing with this quarantine and with the pandemic and staying safe and all of that. But the other thing is never ever 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 go to a public restroom alone. I watched a lot of Lifetime and different movies, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's like, why is it certain types of women in these movies always you can predict, oh no, they're not going to go down in the basement by themselves. They're not going to go, but please, this is serious. Never ever go any place alone. As Lyle said, predators are taking advantage of the fact that this, with this pandemic and safety issues and the fact that some of the schools are allowing, kids to come back to the campuses. And these campuses are isolated in many places and huge. So please, please encourage
Especially
your,
campuses
and
like
it doesn't
that are
matter, male
within
or
the
female,
community, like
because
Howard
it's happening to
University.
males as well.
Like Howard University, their campus is like mixed, mingled in with the
Yeah,
community. You know what I'm saying?
with the
It's not
community.
isolated. Especially
Yes.
campuses like
So
that. Maryland University, they're mingled in with the community. They're like intertwined inside of College Park. And so places like those, you have to be very careful. With where you're going. You have to have
absolutely.
these conversations and what to
Even
do when you get into a situation.
and and with our young people and just getting away from home and you want to experience this independence and so forth, please encourage them about going anywhere with a stranger. Girlfriends may say, "Oh, we're going out for ladies' night, girls' night," and they're having a good time, and this cute guy comes up and runs his line down, and one of the girls is like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go just for a little bit with Tommy, let's say, to such and such. You don't know Tommy. Don't. Please, please encourage your kids not to just take off with strangers,
And
people
speaking of
that you
that,
just
one of
meet.
our viewers said that she was actually trying to teach her 6-year old about stranger danger because
Yes. Yeah.
and what to do in an emergency because she's overly friendly with strangers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I find that with my youngest daughter, um, I noticed that we're outside and people drive by. She's like, "Hi, hi," and it's her personality because like raising my children, even from the beginning of them, I never forced them to speak. They've always been very spiritual beings, so I never forced them to speak it to anyone. If I spoke and the person spoke to them, they knew about manners. But if they didn't speak, that was the first indication that something's wrong. because my children knew manners. And so when they didn't
Mm,
speak, I'm like, okay, it's something about your
there's a
spirit.
reason.
And
Right.
people today
Yeah,
know that about my children. They're like, oh my gosh, Lajane is my daughter who has autism. And she's nonverbal, but and she does not go to just anybody. So like, if you get the opportunity to get eye contact from Lajane and she walks over to you and touches you,
you're
then you
special.
are special, because
You're
she does
really
not do that at
from
all.
sent from heaven. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
so
and
just having those conversations with our young babies about stranger danger, and
and
just being
exactly.
aware, of who. One thing I did in raising my children was I know some seasons ago I talked about the whole zebra syndrome, where the mommy zebra will disappear for about 30 days with the baby, just so that the baby recognize this is where they have their fingerprint, so that they recognize them, so when they go back into the herd they know their mother. And so when I was raising my children, nobody got to discipline them but me, until they got to a point where they understood this is grandma. Okay, and grandma has the same authority as mommy, and the reason why I had to do that was because we are around so many different people. I'm a recording artist. We run a
That
studio.
was
We own
always
our own
my
studio.
major
There's always
concern.
people
Yes,
around. And so
yes,
I'm one that everybody is not uncle. Like, if you end up
yeah,
being uncle,
right. I
understand will take
believe
your
that.
head off if you do not do well with that title.
Yeah,
Like, when you become uncle and auntie, that's major. Like, everybody is not uncle and auntie to my children, and we have to stop saying that. We have to stop
please,
calling
please, please.
everybody that come into our circle, that's auntie such and such, that's uncle such and such, and you don't even know if you're gonna like them next month. Like, I need you to understand your circle first, and know that it's a circle that's legit and genuine, and that's going to be around, and that's even worthy of introducing to your most prized possession, which is your portfolios, which are your children. You know,
And
um,
when you say that, it brings another thing to mind too, because I just recently, over the past week, had some folk to mention how they had been, in fact, on our show, how people had been molested by family members. I'm hearing of that more and more and more. Um, and that's why I used to always have a concern about, because my kids are in the music business. And, I am always, my antenna are always up. And Law would tell you, even there's some people who are like, they're close friends. They consider them as close. And I'm looking with the raised eyebrow, like, no. Okay. And it's for a reason, because I know how easy it is for children to, oh, well, this person's close to mommy, so I can trust them. But just look at the stats. There are many, many children and adults who have been overtaken by family members,
yeah.
by people who are close to the parents. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be extremely careful and cautious about who you let into your, I don't care, village or no village. Just have your third eye open, for any and everybody. Another thing, I know we're going to get into this as we go along, like I said, because you're developing your portfolio of safeguarding tips and
Yeah,
policies.
because tomorrow
But
we
this
want
is
to hear from
another
you
thing,
all.
another little game, a serious game that you could play with, and not just with kids, with adults. La, and by now her police background, so she can attest to this. When your kids leave the fold, like whether it's for school or even in the backyard, even if observe them from head to toe. Even have them to turn around. Like I say, make a game out of it.
A
Even
police
with the
description. That's
adults.
what you're
Hey,
getting.
even with the adult, even with the adults, even with that husband that you're upset with, or that wife that you got on your last nerve, before they leave your sight, observe them. Do a little game and have wardrobe changes and see who can identify the
We
person,
do it
how many,
all the time. I tell him,
I'm
give me a
telling
police
you,
description
you cannot
all the
go
time.
wrong.
It's
Am I right,
necessary.
Ma?
Yes.
You got to be observant. That's one thing even Law, when she was in the police academy, kind of made me even more aware. And that is,
Pay
observations.
attention to detail.
Yeah, take a snapshot of with your eyes, not a camera snapshot, but just observe from head to toe, color eyes, dimple, mole.
Because you don't know
They
how
have
many parents have been
what color
faced
outfit.
with a, being in a position where their child is missing and they can't remember what
Can't
they had on.
I don't know.
They can't
How to
even remember what
notice,
they had on.
remember a person's identifying characteristics, such as how tall. Have a marker or something somewhere on your door entrance or wherever. And so at most you can say what they were about came to right about here to the door. That's you notice in Family Dollar. It used to really get to me. You go in and they said something to the effect, basically, Big Brother's watching you. Good. Hello, uh, we have cameras. Da, 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 da. They tell you straight up, we watching you. I
Right,
got
basically.
my eyes on you. So have your eyes on whether it's a child or an adult. Have some kind of a remembrance, identifying characteristics of that person, what they had on. There's some people and the kids, and I know this for a fact, the kids leave home and like Lon said, they don't have a clue what they had on. So we have to be more observant when it comes to that. The voice sounds, you're in a store and the sound of someone's voice, whether it was a growly voice, whether it was a soft voice, whether it was high, low, you blink your eye and your child or your adult could be missing. You
it's
see
so
what I'm
it's
saying?
so funny that you say like sounds, because so we have this thing in our house where if somebody's, because we're always doing something, so if somebody's in a different part of the room and we hear a loud noise, everybody stops, and then somebody be like, "Are you okay?" And so then the person has to,
Then
they have to say
they
it
were
out
able
loud
to
right
talk.
away if they're okay, or everybody comes running.
Exactly.
And so just yesterday afternoon, I was in my office. And so our youngest daughter, she'll be 2 on the 12th. She's such an old lady. And so I'm back here, and they heard something, and they thought it was me, and they thought something had fell back here, and I heard it, so it must have been like outside because I had my office door open. And so my baby girl goes, "Ma, Kay," and I just lost it. I just bust out laughing. I couldn't hold my peace because she's not even 2 years. She can't even say the whole word, the whole phrase. And she's gotten accustomed to saying, she hears something, and you know, everybody's not in our presence, then we're screaming out, "Are you okay?" And so
Mhm.
she's even begun to do it. So,
Mopping for her.
make it a point to do those things.
Yes, yes. And not
Always
only
checking
that,
on each other.
stranger yell. We used to tell the kids even when they were little, if anybody approaches you, get within your space. Don't be afraid to holler. Yeah, call out for mommy or somebody. Hey, later with their feeling, whoever it might have been somebody, in the village. Hey, doesn't matter if they get but so close to you. Don't be afraid. Teach your children it's
Yeah.
okay. Stranger alert, that sort of thing. Some kind of signal. Some kind of signal for your family members between just your family members. You know what I'm saying? I know when I used to sit with the kids when I had grandma summer camp, this thing of when I would come to the door, say I went out to my car or whatever, and something that only me and the kids could identify with
Right.
when I came back to the door,
Mm,
so that they would know
that
this
it
is
was
Grammy.
you.
Some kind of riddle that and you that's something in your safeguarding policy this week that we are developing. Come up with some kind of signal or riddle that only you and your inside family will know. It's so important. It is so I can't express that enough. How important it is for you to come up with a plan for that.
It is. And we have talked all the way to the end of our show.
What?
And
Say
this
what?
time I can't afford to go over because like I just got word.
This
Gerald is, I
year.
don't know if he's still on here, but he was on my watch party and he said first day of virtual school and the daggone system crashed already. And that's in what Calvert County, I think. No,
That has been
That's
my
in Charles
fear.
County. So Charles County crashing. I gotta see, make sure that my kids is online and they not back there
That
acting like
that
they
has
doing
been my
school.
fear. Because think about it. Not only the schools, but guess what? The workers, people who are working. My son, as I shared with you, worked from home, and he's round the clock. I have such appreciation for his job since he's been working from home. Initially, Lana was like, Tommy, what do you do? His name is, from Martin. And it was like, what do you do? Since he's been working from here, I have grown to appreciate what he does because he is working
Yeah,
around the clock
yeah,
and setting up calls. And what he does is setting up these conferences. What we're now in the habit of, he's been doing all along, with the conference calls. So yeah, that's been my fear because now with the good government workers, essential workers, and the kids, everybody, everybody is on the internet. Wake
yeah.
up, La.
Y'all see me dozing. I look. I still got a couple more hours in me.
My baby.
Um,
Oh, do I have to kidnap you so you can get? That's
Somebody
what we
said
need
they
you to
heard
do.
in another state the school system the same thing, internet overload, overload. Oh Lord! So that means I
Yeah,
gotta get off the show so that they can
yeah,
have a piece of the internet back.
right. Give them some internet time.
But you guys, we'll be
Okay.
talking about this all week. I want to tomorrow. We want to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you've done to prepare your children for the start of the school year? Like, what are some of the things that you've done, put in place? Some of the policies, some of the little smart boards that you put together. Maybe I'll take a
Right.
picture of mine and post a few of what I
Yeah.
did.
Please
'Cause
send
look,
some
so y'all
in,
can know
and
why my
we will
eyes look
help
all
you.
chinky. Cause I've been up literally all day. I didn't even know that I was looking like I was falling. Let me put my glasses back on.
You don't look like you feel. I'm sure because you
um,
look glamorous.
thank
You
you.
are
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
Did I have that the right way?
But tomorrow,
You're awesome.
yes. Tomorrow
But
we'll be talking about the same
yeah,
thing with our babies, safeguarding them, what that looks like, what that means. It's different things. Different things. It's a wide range of things that we could talk about when we talk
come
about safe.
prepared with a plan tomorrow. We're gonna put
Yes. Wanna
together
hear your plan.
a safeguarding plan.
Wanna hear you play your plan. So yeah. Y'all know I love you. Y'all know
I
Mama Lou loves
love
you
you
too.
with the love of the
And
Lord.
most important, I don't know what that is. Is that a heart or oval
That's
or
my
peanut?
heart.
What?
I used to
Your
have the
heart don't
little
look like that.
antenna up
Your heart,
because my
like
heart
this is a heart. I've mastered it
extends,
because I've
and
jacked
I
up a
need
couple
I
of
need
times.
the antenna so it can extend.
This this
But
is
I'll
this is
be
not a heart moment.
yeah.
That's not a heart.
That's your heart. Every heart is different.
But something's wrong with your heart.
I'm
I'm gonna need you
I
to fix
am
it.
unique. Where's my
I've
unique
mastered
side?
this thing. Look at that.
I am.
Anyway, let us go. I love y'all. She loves you. God loves you too. That's
Can't wait
so
till
much to do.
Friday, y'all.
Hey guys, y'all can make it. Y'all can do it. Y'all
I
awesome. You
love
rock.
you.
It can be done. Do not get weary. Do not grow weary at all. We're going to get through this thing together called virtual learning with our kids, with our babies. So until
Go home and
tomorrow,
go to sleep, La.
bright and
That's right.
early,
You are at
7:30.
home.
I can't go to sleep. I got to teach the baby. She in school too. I got to tag team
That's
with John.
true.
So when I get off of here, I'm bringing one of my daughters inside this office until
Mm-hmm.
we get their office space set up in their room, and I gotta go teach. I gotta be teaching in like
And your
22
supervising
minutes.
attendant will. I'll be checking to make sure that this teacher is on point. That she's
Yeah,
doing what.
y'all don't want me fall asleep in the class. And this one, she's all over the place. So anyway, bright and early
Love
tomorrow
you.
morning, 7:30. Don't forget we have a special guest coming up on Wednesday, so you guys do not want to miss the same time, 7:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
until tomorrow, be awesome, be great, and don't forget to walk in purpose and not on purpose. It's your girl, Neo Soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya, closing out another segment. See, I'm losing it. Closing out another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. We will see you tomorrow morning. Peace out.